On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. I have some crazy couple slides dealing with these two and Trump. I'm not going to bury the lead. I got a couple funny things I'm going to share first. I've got a great show for some of you that I maybe clickbaited in. Maybe give me a chance. You might like me as a show. If you do, please hit that subscribe button and the thumbs up for all of you guys if you can. It really helps the algorithm tremendously. No matter what platform you're on, do that equivalent of a thumbs up, and you'll be doing me a huge service. Again, a lot going on. The government shutdown is probably one of the other largest stories. Got some major stuff that happened in Portland last night, so we're going to be covering a lot of information, and frankly, I'd like to get right to it. Again, starting with some funny stuff. Day 3 of the government shutdown. Donald Trump posting, I should say, on the White House X account, just because it's fun to watch.
Way to sugarcoat it. Nobody likes Democrats anymore. We have no voters left because of all of our woke trans bullshit. Not even black people want to vote for us anymore. Even Latinos hate us. So we need new voters. And if we give all these illegal aliens free health care, we might be able to get them on our side so they can vote for us. They can't even speak English, so they won't realize we're just a bunch of woke pieces of shit, you know, at least for a while until they learn English and they realize they hate us too.
But they'll come. I think they've been promising the sombrero would get bigger. I think it is, right? Am I wrong? You know, they say size doesn't matter, but frankly, we all know that's not true. Donald Trump truthed this out. The party of hate, evil, and Satan. The Democratic Party is dead. They have no leadership, no message, no hope. Their only message for America is to hate Trump, and they are 100% on the money when it comes to that sort of nonsense. Here is, well, frankly, a pretty funny story. I'm going to just read it. I don't want to waste I've got plenty of video to play today, but breaking news. It has just been revealed that the left-wing federal bureaucrats are furious that the Trump administration set up an automated out-of-office message on their personal government emails, blaming Democrats for the shutdown. One of them even tried to change it, but it was reverted. The message says, "Thank you for contacting me. Democratic senators are blocking passage of H.R. 5371, which has led to a lapse in appropriations. The email reminds those who reach out to the DOE employees that we cannot respond because Senate Democrats are refusing to fund the government. Where's the lie?" a spokesperson said. Yeah, pretty dang funny. Also very funny. Oh, hang on. Where is it? I didn't bring my stuff. I'm going to need something for this particular one. This is too damn funny. Anyway, Donald Trump truthed this out as well. Pretty cool. And right now, it needs more cowbell. I broke the dinger. I didn't even know that was possible. I broke the hell out of this. That was fun. Anyways, yeah, this drummer's, man, you got to be in good shape to do that. Apparently I'm not. At least not that round. Anyway, yes, always more cowbell, please. Please, pretty please. With sugar. Okay, here's the, clickbait right here. All right, tell me I'm wrong. Click away if this is what you deem necessary. But Kirill A. Dmitriev had 2 interesting posts. This one, of course, is the most interesting. It's from a Q post that he's sharing. What if China, Russia, and others are coordinating with POTUS to eliminate the NWO? Who controls North Korea? Who really controls North Korea? This is the Russians sharing this. Now, we know a lot of weird stuff's going on with the war, And again, for anyone that's really paying attention and really understands, it's optics. This is all about optics. We're trying to take out the New World Order. We're trying to take out the deep state. Russia's working on their version of it right now. It seems to be taking too long, under some's opinions. And others are doing the same things. Iran, the attack there. Kirill also shared this, breaking President Putin on President Trump's peace proposal on Gaza. Quote, maybe this will be unexpected for you, but in general, Russia is ready to support it. Maybe we're taking out the deep state over there as well. Between what's happened in Iran, what's happening in Hamas in these terrorist areas, what's happening right now, Venezuela, what's happening potentially in China, because there is a lot of alleged stories that Xi has been, the way the stories are told is that the CCP is separating from Xi, but the reality actually might be that Xi is actually taking China back away from the CCP. Again, hard to know for sure. Xi is considered a very horrible person and done horrible things, but again, how much of that was CCP versus him? I'm not trying to say he's a saint. I'm not saying Putin's a saint, and I'm certainly not saying Trump's a saint. But this is some big stuff, especially sharing that Q post. A lot of us have been speculating this is what's been going on all along, and here is some surprising confirmation from kind of somebody in the know. Fire at a U.S. West Coast most important refinery has at least been put out. But, California, one of our refineries. Yeah, we don't have very many. Remember, 2 of them are shutting down this year, and here this is happening. Now, I'm surprised we didn't blame Russia, frankly. I was expecting that. California's like, we got attacked by drones. It blew up our facility. That's the El Segundo refinery. Had an explosion. Pretty big one, I guess. Yep, big old nasty fire there. Big time. Thursday night this happened. Suffered an explosion. I don't know if anyone died. I don't know if they mentioned any fatalities or anything. I don't see any mention of that in the story, interestingly. Huh. Maybe it was too early to tell. I hadn't seen anything else that came up from it, so needless to say, it's craziness. Radical Left Portland officials is advising people using burner phones and the encrypted app Signal to evade ICE. So we now have the city council members literally giving designated terrorists, by the way. So we've got a city council member giving designated terrorists advice on how to properly, peacefully protest the ICE facility. Oh, I'm reasonably sure that's not legal. She is an immigrant, too, oddly. Oh, no, I'm sorry. She's queer, self-described as queer. I honestly don't really know what queer is. I don't know what that even means. Never really have. It's used, I always thought it was just kind of like another fun name that gay people like to use. Queer. All right, well, be queer, Have no fear, be queer. I don't know what it means. I don't know why it's a separate letter. It shouldn't be. Apple takes down app used to report sightings of ICE agents. This is good and bad. I'm going to say, first off, if people are getting burner phones, they're not getting burner iPhones. I don't know if they have burner phones with Apple's operating system on it. I would doubt it, just because Apple is so retarded on how they do anything and licensing and all that kind of stuff. So I would assume any burner phone that's out there is going to be a Google-type phone or an Android-type phone, if you will. So this doesn't mean a whole lot. I would be curious if Google takes it off their app store. That would be interesting. But the fact that Apple's done this, again, you can take it off your app store on a one of our phones. Or, well, I said that any non-Apple phone. Sorry, Google or a Google phone or a Android phone. You can take stuff off there, but you can still load it from other places. That's kind of one of the cool reasons about having one of those phones. It's not like Apple where everything is totally controlled through their stupid store, and you can't put anything on it unless you jailbreak your phone, in which case then you screw your warranty, right? So whatever the case is, they're, I guess, kind of doing the right thing, though I don't think anyone's actually using it. Oh, cool. It's still queued up. I got lucky there. Here's Hannity talking to Border Czar Tom Homan. They talk about a few things, but certainly it's covering what we've sort of gone over, plus a little more. Check it out.
And breaking tonight, Apple has just removed the app ICE Block from the App Store. Now, the program allowed users to post the location of ICE agents, which, as the Attorney General Pam Bondi pointed out, put them in serious danger. Her discussions with Apple got that app removed. Here with reaction is President Trump's border czar, Tom Homan. How would Apple get away with doxing agents and contributing to an atmosphere of putting agents and law enforcement in danger like that?
I mean, they shouldn't. And I think they took it down because what Pam Bondi said, they're going to investigate these people who put these apps up, because it puts law enforcement at great risk. People need to remember, ISIS, they're not just out arresting illegal aliens. I look at the numbers every morning. 70%, 7 out of every 10 are criminals. And the other 30% include national security threats. To give anybody a heads up, that ISIS is working right now on 14th Street and Broadway, if you're a criminal in that area, there's going to be that population, that percentage is going to prepare for ICE to come. And someone's going to get hurt. Someone's going to get killed. They gave a heads up to the bad guy. Someone's about to knock at your door. So I'm glad Pam Bondi's stepping up. DOJ's investigating this heavily. I think that's why the app went down, because they're looking at criminal investigation.
Now, he doesn't have jurisdiction, but California Governor, Mr. Sanctuary State himself, signed a bill that would prevent or prohibit ICE agents from putting on masks. But he does not apply the law to the very armed people that guard him, California Highway Patrol. Your reaction to that, and what is your message to Gavin about the danger he's putting these agents in? Does he bear responsibility?
Well, he absolutely does, and good luck with that. The law requiring ICE not to wear masks. I think federal law always trumps any state law, and it's ridiculous. I said it before. You ought to be calling President Trump and thanking President Trump for making his state much safer. As far as Karen Bass a few minutes ago, she obviously doesn't know how to read. What the Supreme Court stood up for is reasonable suspicion. Officers develop reasonable suspicion before they make an arrest, and that's a myriad of different factors they consider to have enough cause, reasonable suspicion, to temporarily detain and question somebody. That's what Supreme Court upheld. That's been in statute for decades. So it has nothing to do with racial profiling. Matter of fact, someone's race can't be considered as the only factor to cause reasonable suspicion. So obviously she can't read. She's lying to her constituents what ICE is doing. Again, 70% are criminals. And not only that, ICE has arrested people from 180 different countries. Now, I think there's like 195 sovereign nations. We arrested people from Asian countries, from European countries, from Caribbean countries. So we're arresting people from 180 different countries. This isn't about hunting Latinos. That's a disgusting remark.
Okay, let's talk about the hunting of Latinos and the never-ending refrain of racist, Nazi, fascist, Gestapo, on and on and on. Do you believe it is increasing the incidence of violence and the risk to the lives of your agents?
Absolutely. And you and I talked about this, I think, back in March, Sean. I said if the hateful rhetoric doesn't decrease, someone's going to be killed. And, of course, the left went crazy. I can't believe Holman said that. And, unfortunately, I've been right. There's been 3 shootings in Texas alone where one officer was shot in the neck. One of the bad guys was killed by Border Patrol agents when they attacked their facility. And now we got a detainee that was killed. Not 2, in Dallas, Texas, when they're shooting into a van, hoping to hit ICE agents, but the van is shaded, so they actually hit our detainees. So, and I tell you what, it's not over. If the rhetoric doesn't stop, it's going to happen again. I've seen this game over and over again in my 40 years. This movie's going to play again unless the rhetoric stops.
Last question. What is the situation on the ground with Antifa and the organization and seemingly the approval of local government with Antifa outside of ICE facilities in Portland?
Local government does not support ICE. Every attack on ICE building and ICE personnel, Portland Police Department don't respond. Even though these officers and agents and employees are taxpayers of the city of Portland, the Portland PD has a responsibility to protect them too. I was up there a few weeks ago. The employees, it's a dangerous job, and it's making more dangerous from the threats and the attacks in that building. What I'm most concerned when I talk to the other employees like the clerks and the support personnel, the people who don't carry badges and guns, that get followed home from the building. One agent was followed home from the building and assaulted in his very own driveway. So my main concern is for all of them, but the personnel who are not armed, who are not trained to deal with this, they're being followed too. And every night I pray that every one of these men and women go home safe.
So do I. I share that with you. And it's not mostly peaceful. Tom Homan, thank you.
Yeah, it's not even close to mostly peaceful. Not even freaking close. So Portland police arrested conservative journalist Nick Sorter amid Antifa violence last night. A lot of questions around what actually happened. There was supposedly a flag burning incident quite a bit before he got arrested, and he supposedly grabbed the flag and put it out or something to that effect. And then there was at some point where the Portland police put him under arrest. People don't really know what happened. Nothing seemed to be happening. Nick certainly didn't seem to do anything wrong. Portland police, again, work for the state. They're not, the sheriff works for the people. The police department works for the state. Pam Bondi found out about it, and she's ordering a full investigation led by Assistant AG Harmit Dillon, She is of the Portland Police Bureau. Following my wrongful arrest last night, Bondi confirmed to me. So they're looking into it to see if he was arrested inappropriately or anything along those lines. He didn't resist. He didn't do anything like that. But Nick Sorter's a kind of a known conservative. We use his posts frequently, actually. The guy's does some pretty outstanding work. Also, at the request of Trump's administration, the Obama judge that was going to be involved with the Oregon National Guard deployment lawsuit. Yeah, his wife actually is a politician that's very staunch or very big supporter of no National Guard, no government in Portland. So essentially our administration told him, this Obama judge, you got to recuse yourself. He actually did. He would have to. I mean, that was a pretty obvious, blatant issue otherwise. So good stuff. We're making progress in that regard, or at least going to have a chance for fairness. Got another brilliant person that's, pissed off at the left for the ridiculous stuff that the left does. Check it out.
The only thing that pisses me off about the left is that every single time I post something about being a black conservative, they always want to go, oh, well, they're never going to accept you. You're never going to be one of them. They're never going to do anything for you. Okay, cool. I don't want to be one of them, whatever that means. They don't need to do anything for me. Everything that I've ever achieved or received is because of me and my work ethic alone. Every single job I've had, promotion I've had, school I've gotten into, grade that I've received is because of me and me alone. Not because of my skin color, but because of my merit. While you sit over there and play the oppression game and wait for another government handout, I'm out here grinding and working and getting the things that I'm setting out to receive. And it has nothing to do with my skin color, but everything to do with the content of my character.
What the hell's yeno mean? I don't even know what that is. Do you guys know what yeno is? I just wanted to give long enough to see how many of you actually send me an email. I know it's honey backwards. I know. If you've already sent the email, I'm going to be so upset at you. All right, I can't help myself. Can't help myself. Sorry, people.
Let me see.
No, I'm not going to let you. No, can't. Oh, my God. This is freaking awesome. Trump shared this. This is that guy that does the perfect Trump impression, I think. This is beyond funny. I mean, this dude's getting good. He's getting real good.
Hola, mi fellow Americanos, y bienvenidos al cierre de Schumer. That means welcome to the Schumer shutdown. We call it the Schumer siesta, right? It's the Schumer siesta. He put the government on siesta, crying Chuck. And El Hakimo Jefe Jeffries, we used to call him Dollar Store Obama, till we realized he's worth far less than $1. But they put the government on siesta to give illegal aliens your health care. We're not going to let it happen. I looked at both of them. I said, we're not going to let it happen. It's no bueno. I said, it's no bueno. They begged me. They said, but senor, por favor, please give illegal aliens the health care. I said, we're not going to do it. We're never going to do it. It's not going to happen. And they're also very upset about our big, beautiful sombreros. You look at them. These are the greatest sombreros the world has ever seen. We really have the best sombreros, and everybody wants one except Crying Chuck and El Hakimo Jefe Jeffries. They don't want one, but they're going to wear one when all is said and done. We're going to end the siesta. We're going to reopen the government, and we will not give in to the demands of Chuck and El Jefe. We're not going to do that. Thank you. God bless you. Dio lo bendiga, and God bless America. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
I love it. I love it. So well done. Oh, wow. Yes, we've got Interior Secretary Doug Burgum. Democrats shut down the government for purely political purposes, and they 100% did. Now, everyone's disagreeing with this, but, well, shucky darn. Even the New York Times has come out explaining the GOP's misleading talking points on looming shutdown. They're not really misleading. I'm going to read a bit of this, but it's actually a pretty decent little article, and it really, I think, beats up on the Democrats a little. The Democrats' budget proposal seeks to extend Affordable Care Act subsidies set to expire at the end of the year and roll back Medicaid cuts and the tax cut and domestic policy law signed by President Trump in July. But the proposal does not provide free health care for unauthorized immigrants. Unauthorized immigrants are largely barred from federally funded health care programs. They cannot buy health care plans on government exchanges set up by the Affordable Care Act and therefore cannot receive any subsidies. They are also ineligible for Medicaid, Medicare, and the Children's Health Insurance Program. The Democrats' budget proposal does not make them eligible for these programs. Senator Patty Murray, the top Democrat on the Appropriations Committee, acknowledged this disconnect in the statement. Quote, undocumented immigrants are not eligible to enroll in federally funded health coverage under existing law or Democrats' funding proposal. But millions of American citizens will see their health care premiums double next year if Republicans keep refusing to act, quote, she said. Republicans may be referring to the law changing the eligibility requirements for certain immigrant groups. Under the Tax Cut and Domestic Policy Law, certain groups of lawfully present immigrants are no longer eligible for Obamacare subsidies. The Democrats' proposal would restore that eligibility. There is no uniform definition for lawful presence, a term typically used by federal and state health care and social welfare programs to determine eligibility. Most groups of lawfully present non-citizens have authorized or legal immigration status like refugee and asylum recipients, but the term can also include immigrants whose legal status is more complicated, like those in the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, aka DACA. 3 Republican committee chairmen said in a September news release that the Biden administration has abused lawful presence definitions and, citing an August analysis from the Nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office, said that the Republican law would revoke subsidy eligibility from 1.2 million illegal immigrants or non-citizens. The CBO did estimate that 1.2 million people would lose subsidies and their health care coverage as a result of the eligibility restrictions, but it did not characterize those immigrants as illegal or unauthorized. Separately, the federal government does reimburse hospitals for providing emergency care to low-income, unauthorized immigrants who are otherwise ineligible for Medicaid. The Republicans' Tax Cut and Domestic Policy Law reduced the amount that hospitals receive for emergency services provided to certain unauthorized immigrants in states that expanded Medicaid, but it did not eliminate funding altogether. More than a dozen states provided government-funded health care for low-income children, regardless of their immigration status, and 7 states also provided that coverage for low-income adults, according to a breakdown by a healthcare nonprofit, KFF. But those programs are state-funded and are not affected by the federal funding currently debated in Congress. Now, we talked about this yesterday, but this 1.2 million people are people that shouldn't be getting it anyway. They're people that they've been getting around this lawfully present definition that doesn't even have a definition. Now, we did mention this yesterday. This is the part of the bill. This is their syntax, the alien Medicaid eligibility. And again, it breaks it all down into here: a resident of one of the 50 states. Again, just the verbiage in here is just absurd, and we're not going to walk through it again. But they are definitely, it's fact-checked. This is exactly what the Democrats are trying to do. This is the words from the bill. They can say whatever the fuck they want to say. This is the words in the bill. Okay, you try to spin that all you want. Again, it's written in legalese. It'll make you bleed through your eyes, but you can read it, at least until your vision gets blurred. Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt talking about all this nonsense.
Our position is that it's completely unacceptable that the Biden administration paroled and encouraged an invasion of tens of millions of illegal aliens into our country and then promised them free health care. And the Democrats are on the record repeatedly stating that they believe illegal aliens should have health care benefits, free health care benefits in the United States of America. So that is a recipe for a disaster. Of course you're going to encourage a mass illegal invasion of our country, which is exactly what happened. And we've seen the unfortunate consequence of that, where American patients are being put last, where American patients are having to wait in wait rooms, where grandmothers and grandfathers are waiting hours and hours for care because they're being put behind the line to illegal aliens. And we don't agree with that. We don't support that. That's why the administration is desperately trying to fix it and deport the tens of millions of illegal aliens that the Democrats and the Biden administration allowed into our country. And we'd love to continue doing that work so long as the federal government is reopened. And there are many federal law enforcement agents and officers right now who are working without pay. That's unacceptable. The Democrats need to reopen the United States government, and we hope that they will do the right thing on the Senate floor in just a few moments. Thank you.
Now, we are very aware of the fact that, one, they didn't vote it in Friday, so today is Friday the 3rd, and no, it did not pass yet again. There are 5 Democrats, though, who they think might fold under pressure, and that's all we need. It's 5 more Democrats anyway. There's already 3, which would make this, to a large extent, bipartisan, and also, to a large extent, would somewhat save at least some of the Democrats. But there are some Democrats that are in very contentious areas, even possibly conservative states in general, but maybe, the bluer parts of the state. But they are definitely in a tougher place, and they likely will cave. I think they've got Senator Jeannie, whatever, Shaheen, a Democrat from New Hampshire. Don't know a lot about her. Can't even pronounce her name, obviously. Don't particularly care. Senator Gary Peters, Democrat from Michigan. Senator Maggie Hassan, Democrat, North New Hampshire. Senator Ruben Gallego, Democrat, Arizona. I almost called him Gallego. Senator John Ossoff, Democrat from Georgia. So we'll see if either of these people end up switching. These, of course, this is one of the people that illegally got in to begin with, or at least seems to have. There's some major shenanigans that happened in that election. I don't know if we'll ever, hopefully we get to the bottom of it, and if not, hopefully we can make sure all the registrations are clean. Voter registrations need to be cleaned, and obviously we want a fair election that's paper ballots only. No electronic stuff. FICO spike on plan to go direct to lenders. This is, I don't know, interesting. So normally if you wanted to get tax information, you would go through, or someone that wants to run a credit check on you, they'd go through Experian, Equifax, TransUnion. Sometimes they don't use all three. Sometimes they do. What that was typically is there's a $10 fee, and then they'd usually tack on some extra money, and they were making kind of some money on it. Well, this other company's coming in to do it. I guess Fair Isaac is the name of this company. They're going to be doing it for less. They're going to either do it for a flat $10 fee or $4.95 per score plus a $33 closing fee. What this means is essentially these other companies that have been charging insane amounts to give this information are now able to get this through another source and cheaper. And so this is going to hurt Experian, Equifax, TransUnion. We know these are deep state companies again. So not the easiest thing to fully understand, but long story short, the way that they've been doing it and raping people is coming to an end, it seems. Or at least we've got a less rapey kind of feel to it. How about that? Maybe that's a better way to put it. Gold. So I got to do a quick refresh because I can't wait for it to catch up. I can't wait. All right, so gold is over 39. Look at that, 39.14. Up $46 today, so up 1%, 1.19%. Silver made up for it just broke 48 while I was standing here. That's awesome. It went up $1.63 today. Silver's up 3.5% today. Yesterday had a big down day, so it's pretty much gotten all of that back. Silver's at $48, guys. I'm telling you, the system is not long for this world. I've kind of explained this a lot lately. Gold and silver protect buying power. Okay, they're not an investment that you would make in good times. In good, sound times, you would not do this. The only times you get into precious metals is when times are not sound. And right now, inflation is killing the buying power. That's what this holds, okay? So let's just say, we're trying to make it easy. Well, we'll keep it real simple, okay? Back in 1930, I might get the number wrong. It was either 25 or 30 bucks or whatever to buy a 1-ounce gold coin. Back in 1930, 17 maybe is when they did it, when the Fed started. I think it was actually around there because they made everyone give up their gold. I'm going to get my facts a little off. Please forgive me if I'm off by a few bucks. Okay? Let's call it $25, make it easy. For this ounce of gold, it was $25. You could get a tailored suit for 1 ounce of gold. Okay? Back then, that was worth $25. Nowadays, this is $3,900. That's what it costs to get a fully tailored suit. $3,900. 1 ounce of gold. You see, it holds the buying power. It doesn't hold the value of money. It holds the buying power. It's like a bobber floating on the water. It won't go under. It won't, pop up above. It'll stay right there. Now, there is some multipliers kicking in. There's a lot of paper contracts that don't belong. There is actually some multiplier effect that will kick in. So you're going to actually do a little better. Gold and silver have been doing outstanding over the past few years and will continue to do so as we go through these hard times. This protects the buying power. So whatever you've got in your 401k or IRA right now, let's just say it's $100,000, right? You got $100,000 sitting in there. Whatever you could buy right now with $100,000, I don't know, maybe a house in a lot of places, pretty close, right? You take that out and put that into precious metals, tax-free, penalty-free, by the way, when you let my good friends at Goldco help you anyways, okay? You move that $100,000 tax-free, penalty-free into precious metals. Okay, that amount of precious metals you now have, it's in a trust. It's actually not going to be in your hands, but you could get your hands on it if you had to or wanted to. But you have this physical metal, and then you go out 4 or 5 years when we've got a new currency, which is going to be backed by precious metals. You're already halfway there, by the way. When they start that new currency, whatever that house would cost, that $100,000 house, the precious metals you have, it's going to be equal to enough of whatever the new currency is to still buy that house. Or if we're still in Federal Reserve notes, God forbid, then this will be worth $200,000, and in which case you could cash it out if you want and buy the house then, because that's what that house is now going to cost, because the value of the cash is going down. But your precious metals held the buying power. You're still buying a $100,000 house. That's how precious metals work. Again, when everything's good in the economy, you get stocks, you get bonds, you do a whole bunch of other things. Even real estate's a much better idea. But not when we're going through the crap that we're going through, and not when you have inflation that is destroying the value of the dollar. Get out of their system. I know your stock value seems high. This is the highest it's going to get. And every single day they take a chomp out of your dollar power, because the inflation is killing the Federal Reserve note. That's what that $100,000 is relative to. You've got X number of stocks, and that's equal $100,000. Now, maybe tomorrow it's a little bit more than that, but inflation's taking a bite out of that. And as that continues to happen, your value gets crushed. And what they've found is the value of stocks have not gone up faster than inflation. Unfortunately, no. Precious metals have. And the other part of the problem is you don't want to get stuck in that system when the stock market has the bubble pop. And again, we know they're trying to deflate it carefully, but there's going to be some sort of pain moment. There's got to be something that we can blame the Fed on, because the Fed's not going to stay. It can't. It can't. To print our own money, we have the right to print coin. Get your precious metals. Get your coins. Go to drslikesgold.com. Protect yourself. Whatever you've got diversified out, you can keep putting money in there. If they're matching your money, awesome. Keep doing it. But diversify a chunk of that out and make sure that buying power stays right where it's at. And you can keep adding in there and keep adding in there. And then if something happens, you'd be like, dude, I took 80% of it out, or took 50%, or I took whatever. I diversified. We're sitting a lot better now than we were. Now, they're going to do it tax-free, penalty-free. You're going to get up to 10% free silver. So that $100,000, that's $10,000 worth of free silver. That's how that works. 10% the value of free silver. And you're going to get a Ronald Reagan coin, most likely, a little half-ounce coin with the Ronald Reagan. It's pretty freaking cool. And you're going to get your gold and silver kit, which is essentially just teaches you and tells you about how precious metals IRAs are a much better answer at this point in time. Get out of that 401k, get out of that IRA. There is a minimum, 25 grand's the minimum now. And I think it's 10,000 for if you actually just want to spend cash and buy metals. But all said, if you get a little more than that, cool. If you've got a lot more than that, I would definitely consider diversifying. We don't know how much further we get to go before things get really weird. Get out while you can. Take that buying power while it still exists, because every day you're losing it. Go to drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. Get out of it while you can. Also, just for people that don't have much money, but you want to get a little bit of silver and dabble, try to find coins that are like pre-64, I think it is. So maybe go to what are those, pawn shops and stuff like that, and just see if you got any old coins, old silver coins, and buying that, because from what I hear, that's actually going to go up in value kind of faster than these. These are going to stay with prime silver. This is this is very pure, by the way. These are actually the Canadian maple leaves, specifically one of the best quality silvers you can buy, actually. But that's another example. But get old coins. They're significantly cheaper. They're pretty much spot price only. These are actually spot plus, usually about 50%. Costs a little more to get them. So that's one option too. But again, if you got a 401k or IRA, get the frick out of their system, man. Get out of their system. You don't want to be in there, especially when the going gets even tougher. ICE is ready to raid the next Super Bowl. Everyone's very upset about the dude that's performing. Never even heard of him personally myself. I see if I can find his stupid name down here somewhere. He's got some lame-ass name. Oh, whatever the hell the name of the dude is. He's Bad Bunny. There he is. He's apparently Hispanic or something, I guess. Like I said, I don't know anything about this dude. Follow the rabbit. That might be kind of interesting in the big picture. Super Bowl's had pretty crazy shows over the years. I don't know. This guy says he won't perform in the United States because we're racist, and yet here he is doing the Super Bowl. Maybe we should protest and try to see if they'll get someone else in there. I don't know how far in advance they really got to book that. I would assume, sooner than later, because it's probably tough to put a show together. And I also know that they don't get paid. The Bunny, whatever his name is, he won't get paid. They don't get paid. It's just publicity. So he's shitting all over our country because of what we're doing right now. And then he wants to come here and sell millions of records with the R publicity on literally an American sport that no other country plays. Like, some probably watch, but few. Kind of funny. Blatant fraud. U.S. CIS operations uncover fraud in 44% of pending immigration cases in Minneapolis. Yeah, the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, they're working and looking into these Minneapolis, these Somali communities, right? And their operation marked the first targeted surge of this kind of immigration officers investigating more than 1,000 pending cases flagged for fraud or ineligibility concerns, according to U.S. Citizenship and Immigration. USCIS said officers carried out over 900 site visits and interviews, uncovering fraud and noncompliance or security issues in 275 cases, about 44% of all of those things going on. So they've got this big fraud thing that's been going on heavily in the Somali communities over where, yeah, our good friend Ilhan Omar, the one that married her brother. Yeah, that one. Just in case you were wondering, Minnesota is unfortunately quite effed up. Maryland man, he's an illegal alien, right? So he stole millions of dollars in COVID relief funds, and he's now begging the judge to let him stay in the United States. Quote, I should have been deported because I wanted to stay with my family. I've learned from this. I've learned to become a perfect gentleman. He and 2 others stole Social Security numbers from Americans, applied for unemployment benefits, payments mailed to vacant apartments. He even stole from one victim with a mental disability in his group home. But he thinks he's learned his lesson. Yeah, no, you get to go home, you don't pass go, and you certainly ain't collecting any more $200, that's for sure. There's a new migrant caravan, but this one's bound for Mexico. I love it, Mexico. Go ahead, because you hate all of your neighbors, except for sort of us. Maybe right now it's a little contentious, but for the most part, you love us, admit it. People south of you, everyone south of you, you don't like. No offense, and I got some Mexican friends, but you guys, the Mexicans, I wouldn't say racist, but yeah, towards any other culture, they are the superior Hispanic culture. Some might argue. You get down into Latin America, it gets a little different. There's some differences there, but whatever the case is, they're all now going up into Mexico. Have fun with that, Mexico. Give us a call if you need help, how to build a wall or anything. We got some blueprints. FBI is cutting ties with the SPLC. It's part of a partisan smear machine, spending all this money to pay to this group of people that are just going to smear us. They compared Turning Point USA, they compared them to the Ku Klux Klan. It's pretty funny, right? We also bailed from the ADL, by the way. FBI was using the ADL, American Defamation League, or Anti-Defamation League, sorry, and the SPLC, and I don't believe I said that, the Southern Poverty Law Center. Some of us don't remember all the stupid initials. I certainly don't, so I should probably spell it out for others. But yes, good job from them. And we also have some cool stuff coming up from Cash on the Russiagate and a couple things. It's just sweet. Good stuff going on right now. I'm loving it. It's very exciting. Department of Energy cancels another $7.6 billion in energy funding projects. These are a lot of the ones that Biden was trying to force through at the very end. There's been 223 of these projects in total that have been canceled. Many of them, they weren't going to actually make any money. They were going to actually cost money. They didn't have any plans. There was, just bad idea, right? So they killed all those that they found. So far, they've saved $7.6 billion. Russ Vogt also freezes $2.1 billion in Chicago projects over race-based contracting. So we come to find out there's $2.1 billion in Chicago infrastructure projects, specifically the Red Line extension and the Red and Purple modernization project. They've been put on hold to ensure funding is not flowing via race-based contracting. More info is going to come soon. Apparently they were making sure that only certain races could do the job. Well, that's illegal. Not allowed to get federal money and do those kinds of racist things. They used to when the deep state was running the show, but no longer. U.S. businesses signed record 98 contracts worth $170 billion with foreign government buyers. We've got a lot of infrastructure investments happening into the United States. Once we can more or less get the deep state out of the way and then really truly start to break ground, this whole world's really going to start to change. My guess is the Russia stuff's going to be pretty much resolved by then. We're going to have the Iran, Israel, Hamas thing pretty much finalized. Hopefully Taiwan and China figure out a way to unify without requiring them to literally try to load ferries with tanks and then drive ferries, sail ferries across the strait. Ferries. China's got a long way to go to be more than a paper tiger. I mean, they've got great technology. Don't get me wrong. I'm not downplaying their technologies. Their experience with it and the amount of it, and then their lack of ability to do long-range stuff. They just really don't have the ability to bring strong force great distances. Their aircraft carriers are helping, but they're very, very new to aircraft carriers. In fact, it took them a long time before they even had enough qualified pilots to land on them. And they've got that lane kind of, the whole world does the lipped version of the carrier. We're the only ones in the world that seem to have figured out the catapult, which is interesting. It's considered very top secret, by the way. I don't know if people have tried to give it up, but the pressures, the weights, I mean, there's just such a lot of variables that go into it. It's very difficult. And now it's electromagnetic. I believe they can do it much, much quicker than the steam catapults they used to have. But still, most of them, I think, are steam. FBI had 3 informants reporting to Biden corruption in Ukraine, but no record of real investigation. This Kash Patel is letting us all know. This stuff's coming out. Senator Chuck Grassley's now got this information. So they're going to be digging into it a little bit. But yeah, the Biden administration themselves were involved in corruption with Ukraine. Getting money kickbacks or something like that. Whatever it is, we'll find out if we ever find out. All right, here's the 2 things from Kash Patel that are freaking awesome. Check it out.
I will never, in this seat, launch an investigation without the appropriate legal and factual basis to do so.
Your thoughts on where you sit as the current FBI director, seeing one of your colleagues who also was the director of this place being indicted, and what does this mean going forward for the FBI in the Trump White House?
This is the only thing we haven't talked about. It's the restoration of trust the American public has in the FBI. Don't take my statistics for it. You know it. It was cratering. It was at all-time lows over the prior 2 directors. The restoration of trust comes in my work with Congress, congressional oversight, production of documents, and transparency. That's a piece of it. That's a big piece of it. When we produced 33,000 pages and the prior 2 directors only produced 4 and 13,000 respectively. That's a big difference. Of investigations of consequence, everything from JFK to the Charlie Kirk assassination and everything in between. We're making ongoing productions like never before seen so the American people can see, touch, and feel it and not be told what happened. As to, for me particularly, an individual who is a victim of a weaponized system of law enforcement, a politicization of law enforcement, literally had subpoenas served on me for no legal basis whatsoever. I will never, in this seat, launch an investigation without the appropriate legal and factual basis to do so, and I do not make those decisions in the career.
In other words, whereas the people that accuse you of weaponizing the FBI to do the president's bidding is just not true.
No. What America should do is look at the people that made those accusations and ask themselves the one simple question that the majority of the media doesn't want to face. Did Russiagate happen?
No.
And what happened? What did I uncover when I led that investigation, when I was a chief investigator on Capitol Hill, is that a political party hired a foreign intelligence asset to make up information, then get it to the FBI, and the FBI knew and has now admitted it knew the information was false and the source was bad. Even so, they went to a federal secret court, applied for a warrant on their political opponent, and lied to that federal court to obtain that warrant. If you can't come to terms with that, then you have no opinion or basis to stand on to attack our integrity and the leadership I have at the FBI. Look at the individuals that did that. Ask yourself the tough question in the mirror, not you, the fake news media. You want to prop these people up and say we're the ones weaponizing government. It is the height of hypocrisy to have someone accuse us of doing that when they are the ones that created that maniacal system to satisfy their own egos. They're just pissed that we figured it out, and the guy that figured it out is now the director of the FBI, and the Attorney General is a great partner, and she's right. We're just warming up.
Hell yeah, we're going to kick some ass is basically what they're saying. We got one more here too. Check it out. This is pretty cool as well.
Investigation.
Okay, that's fair. You know, speaking of social media, they're up in arms over George Soros and Oprah Rose as to whether or not his Oprah Rose Foundation is supporting terrorist organizations. organizations that are anti-America and goes against the better interests of our nation?
So organizations, I can't speak to that directly.
George Soros.
And because I can't comment on whether or not we have an actual investigation. But
Okay, that's fair.
speaking to matters like Antifa, for example, right? And the new EO that the president signed and their designations giving us authorities that we never had. What we are able to do is the one thing I've done my entire career under investigations: follow the money. Serve legal process and follow the money. These groups just don't show up overnight. You don't have hundreds of people surround a courthouse overnight and then move down to LA and cause riots and then move halfway across the country and cause disruptions in Chicago and elsewhere. It is an organized effort that someone or some groups are paying for. And what I can tell the American people is we have open investigations on multiple groups and individuals funding these efforts. We have legal process that has already been executed. The search warrant results are coming in.
You know, should the U.S. formally designate the domestic groups as terrorist organization? If not, was Mr. Director the right to RICO, material support analogs, or case-by-case prosecutions that avoid criminalizing an ideology?
Yes, I think Antifa, specifically speaking, as an example, we have to recognize these groups for what they are. If we as a society just allow these riots to continue, then we as a society are going to be engulfed by the criminal activity these people are doing. LA, you can't attack law enforcement. You can't throw rocks and boulders at law enforcement. You can't in DC assault law enforcement. In Portland, you can't set fire to a federal building and get away with it. How is that acceptable? And it's all being caused. It's not individual acts of violence. It is organized anarchy and chaos. And thanks to the president's initiatives, and when I was there in the Oval Office when he signed it, we are getting after the fight with more resources and tools that we've.
Hell yeah. Again, stuff's happening, right? It's happening for sure. New Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick says he believes Jeffrey Epstein traded in blackmail videos. And what's interesting is where the evidence probably went. He speaks to that.
I mean, that's an incredible story that you could pick up that he was a pervert.
It's gross. The guy's gross. Right with my wife. And like, he's gross. The guy's gross. This was not, the deep nuance of Howard Lutnick. This guy's gross.
Right. So how come Bill Gates and all these other people could hang around him and not see what you saw? Or did they see it and ignore it? Or
no, they participated.
Right.
That's what his MO was, get a massage, get a massage. And what happened in that massage room, I assume, was on video. This guy was the greatest blackmailer ever. Blackmailed people. That's how he had money. So
what happened to those videos? Why is there now such a dearth of information when, Donald Trump's people are running the FBI and the DOJ?
I assume way back when they traded those videos in exchange for him getting that 18-month sentence, which allowed him to have visits and be out of jail. I mean, he's a serial sex offender. How could he get 18 months and be able to go to his office during the day and have visitors and stuff? It must have been a trade. So my assumption, I have no knowledge, but my assumption is there was a trade for the videos because there were people on those videos.
And have you talked to Donald Trump about this and shared your theory?
No, I mean, he knows the story.
Right.
But my story, that, I was one and done with the guy. He knows that story, but that's it.
I love it because he's like, yeah, Trump knows the story. So it's almost like you hear her thinking, you hear the thoughts in her head. It's like, well, is your story like his story? And he's like, mine was one and done. Like, he's just like, this is my story. But he's, that was a good cover by Lutnick. Good stuff. Ohio Supreme Court sides with the health department. Rules against release of public data on COVID deaths and injuries. This one's a tricky one. I'm mixed on it. I'm curious what you guys think. But there was a 4-3 decision. They're obviously mixed as well. And there was a records request by a Catherine Hewig. She's a critic of Governor Mike DeWine's COVID-19 policies. She wanted detailed death and vaccination data. She'd probably do something that would make it look bad for Mike DeWine, so maybe the court's protecting him, certainly. Lawyers for the state argued that Hewig's request would compel health department officials to undertake considerable effort and could open the door for other similarly onerous requests, which obviously is probably why they threw it to the curb. So it is a public request, unfortunately, but yeah, they said basically no. Court stated that under Ohio public records law, government public records custodians are not required to comply with requests that necessitate compiling information into a new document. I don't know if they were stating that it needed to be in a new document. Was that the request? She needed detailed death and vaccination data. At least the way it's asked here, it doesn't sound like they wanted it, it's got to be 3-hole punched, all right? I need it in binders, and I like the binders with the gold rings, the gold ones, not them shitty chromey colored. No. I mean, whatever. Fucking crazy. Donald Trump literally blew up another boat. I don't know if this is the 4th or 5th. I feel like I'm starting to lose track, but I mean, again, it's just a boat. But they confirm this had enough drugs to kill 25 to 50,000 people. It was stopped early this morning off the coast of Venezuela from entering American territory. Dum dum dum. Yeah, I guess there's not going to be any sound, but there will be a boom, I'm sure. Many of the blackout. Let me shake. Oh, good. Oh, wow. That looked like a C-130 hit, or was that just fragmentation? What the hell, man? That thing got fragged, as they would say, right? Wow. Well, that is weird. There's still little marks from whatever the hell. So I don't know if that just blew drugs all over the place. That's probably what that is, huh? As I talk to myself, sort of talk to you is what I'm trying to do, but realizing you're not going to answer just yet. Take some of the fun out of it. Let's call it a one-sided conversation for the moment. Yeah, wow. Yeah, it already got hit before shit started flying, right? Okay, all right. After quick replay, holding. Anyways, all right, next. Donald Trump declares armed conflict with the cartels. Yes, no, it's not. He literally filed this to Congress now. Confidential notice was sent to several congressional committees this week, notifying lawmakers that the president has determined these cartels are non-state armed groups, designated them as terrorist organizations, and determined that their actions constitute an armed attack against the United States. You call them narco-terrorists and all that 9 years. Many are saying there's unquestionably this is going to lead to the potential incursion or attacks in locations within Venezuela. In fact, we've already seen somewhat of an escalation. I thought it was right around here, though. Where did I put it? There it is. Right here would be a better place for that. Venezuela. I want to hear her say it. 42 seconds. Let's listen to my wonderful, delicious friend, Alice Tang.
Of provocation after 5 U.S. fighter jets were allegedly detected near the country's coastline. The defense minister called the alleged incident a threat to the country's security. The Pentagon did not immediately respond to a request for comment. In early September, the United States deployed 10 F-35 stealth fighter jets to a Puerto Rico airbase. It's also sent air warships to conduct operations against drug cartels in the Caribbean. Trump has accused Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro of involvement in drug trafficking. Maduro and Venezuela's government deny the accusations.
I love them over at NTD News. They can say them Chinese words like awesome. But they have a harder time with that Spanish stuff. I'll say, and the TV, man, makes her look like she's tall. I bet she's like 5 foot tall, but she looks like she's like 6 feet tall standing next to that TV. Fantastic. Anyway, sorry. Had a moment there. I should have turned off the camera. I could have enjoyed it more. 41 seconds would have been plenty of time. Could have done it twice. On Tuesday, we observed one of the strangest spectacles of our time. President Trump and his Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, called a mandatory meeting of all of his top brass. Yeah, we talked about this, so a lot of people, well, they're speculating in a very cool way. Oh, cool, it's still highlighted. So this guy, let's see, some of our intel sense of dread was not misplaced. Let's see, the Sonar 21 blog. Former CIA officer Larry Johnson wonders whether there was a very public message delivered to conceal a secret and more dangerous message. So this is another side of it. Now, I do still think there was a number of these individuals that were arrested, likely done, I think, as examples, or at least people found out about it or heard about it. I don't know if it was done in front of them. Initially, when I was seeing it, the auditorium seemed like it had more aisles to walk in, so that made more sense. But when I saw the actual room, it seems like there was not as many walkways. It was exactly the auditorium shape I was seeing in my head, but it was not the walkways were not the way I thought they would be. So I'm not sure how exactly that played out, but I still think there were some examples that were made. So Johnson quotes Ives Smith of the Naked Capitalist blog. He says, after Charlie Kirk, perhaps I have become too fond of complicated theories. But it is ludicrous to have called so many senior guys in for such a silly agenda. A Stern memo and or video sessions would have done. So the big stupid meeting, IMHO, was to cover for a smaller gathering that had to be done in person, and where whoever was summoned would be a big tell as to what focus was coming. So literally bring in 800 people, and there's maybe 15 of them that you specifically need, but if you brought in those 15 people, word would have gotten out, and yeah, people would have known what's up. So they hid within the mess of stuff, if you will, right? Like kind of a chaff, if you will. I've been calling it like info chaff. It's kind of the same thing. It's optics chaff, I guess, in a sense. Johnson then signals his agreement with the speculation. No, Ives, I think he nailed it. Besides the massive U.S. naval forces parked off the coast of Venezuela, we are now hearing that U.S. tanker aircraft are flying to the Middle East via England. We saw the same phenomenon in the days preceding the June 24th attack on Iran. If the Trump administration is planning a coordinated attack on Venezuela and Iran, the commanders of U.S. CENTCOM and U.S. SOUTHCOM would be involved. While the plans for such attacks would have been discussed over a secure video teleconference, I'm not going to say all the letters, those sessions usually have dozens of Straffingers? The people that I think type it out. Never seen it spelled like that. Anyway, if you want to keep close hold on such planning, you do it in person. If the CENTCOM and SOUTHCOM commanders had been called to Washington alone, the odds are high that someone would have reported this. With the presence of the U.S. naval forces off the coast of Venezuela and the movement of U.S. aircraft towards the Persian Gulf, this likely would have attracted unwanted attention. So they couldn't see if it was CENTCOM or SOUTHCOM. Now, my guess is I don't think we're hitting Iran again. I kind of think we're hitting something else. Not sure what exactly. Maybe it is Iran again. It's possible. It's quite possible. But something's up because we put these over in Qatar, which is, I think, a little closer to China even for that matter, right? So we're heading into an interesting place. Donald Trump, he's talking about Hamas and their time running out. Says Hamas has been ruthless and violent threat for many years in the Middle East. They have killed and made lives unbearably miserable, culminating with the October 7th massacre in Israel. Babies, women, children, old people, and many young women, men and women, boys and girls, getting ready to celebrate their future lives together. As retribution for the October 7th attack on civilization, more than 25,000 Hamas soldiers have already been killed. Most of the rest are surrounded and militarily trapped, just waiting for me to give the word, go, for their lives to be quickly extinguished. As for the rest, we know where you are, and you will be hunted down and killed. I am asking that all innocent Palestinians immediately leave this area of potentially great future death for safer parts of Gaza. Everyone will be well cared for by those that are willing to help. Fortunately for Hamas, however, there will be given one last chance. Great, powerful, and very rich nations of the Middle East and the surrounding areas beyond, together with the United States of America, have agreed, with Israel signing on, to peace after 3,000 years in the Middle East. This deal also spares the lives of all remaining Hamas fighters. The details of the documents are known to the world, and it is a great one for all. We will have peace in the Middle East one way or another. The violence and bloodshed will stop. Release the hostages, all of them, including the bodies of those that are dead now. An agreement must be reached with Hamas by Sunday evening at 6 p.m. Washington, D.C. time. Every country is signed on. If this last chance agreement is not reached, all hell, like no one has ever seen before, will break out against Hamas. There will be peace in the Middle East, one way or the other. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald Trump. That's what I think they're in Qatar for. I think they're going to frickin' strike hard, and they might help support some of Israel's air refueling as well. It's very possible. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian. He says Tehran's running out of water, so they got to move the capital. That was weird. It's overpopulated. All sorts. That's just strange. That's very strange. Not 100% sure what the hell's going on there. Finally angry. Britain's finally angry, which is frankly about damn time. Manchester synagogue attack victim was shot dead by the police. The attacker didn't actually have a weapon, a gun. The person killed there, by the way, was shot. One of the people killed, was shot by the police. We'll figure that one out. Deputy Prime Minister David Lammy was heckled at the synagogue attack vigil. There was a vigil. I guess two members of the Manchester Jewish community, Melvin Kravitz, 66, and Adrian Dalby, 53, were killed on Thursday in the course of what is being treated as a terrorist attack, allegedly by 35-year-old Syrian migrant Jihad al-Shami. A vigil is being held in Manchester in memory of the victims and to support others wounded in the attack, and it was addressed by local community and national political leaders. The Deputy Prime Minister, David Lammy, who is in his previous job as Foreign Secretary, had spearheaded the United Kingdom recognizing a Palestinian state last month, represented the government at the vigil, and was heckled by people present in the crowd. This dude's seems pretty unsensitive to the big picture.
Therefore, I have great pleasure in introducing our Deputy Prime Minister, David Lammy. And before I do, please, we know how we all feel.
Go to Palestine! Shame on you!
See, shame on you! That actually sounds angry, right? It's not when they're like normally angry, where they're like, I'm so bloody furious at you right now. They're like, shame on you! That's anger, folks. That's how you do it. That's how you freaking do it. Dadgummit. I mean, I don't want to see violence happen, but I want to see friggin' England wake the frick up. I know the people I know that are awake there obviously want to see this happen too. Apparently in England, or at least in London, there's a rape reported every hour in London. I don't know if that's just actually in Congress or what there. That was kind of a stab. Assuming they're not even in London. Are they? I don't know. Like I said, I don't know shit about their government. I know a little bit more than I used to, but I don't know. Yeah, London's kind of the banking area. I know that, but I don't know. I could look that up, but I really don't care. That's the problem. You might want to email me or hit me up on X and tell me how I'm incorrect. That's fine. Breaking, police investigate 1984 Starmer beach art. It's pretty funny. 1984, for those of you that maybe missed the funny reference on this, is the famous book, right? It's what we're living through right now. 1984, it's a great book. Orwellian, as they say, because it was George Orwell. That's where that came from. A lot of people are like, oh, is that where Orwellian came from? That's so Orwellian. Kind of. And so, yeah, here we are. That's pretty well done, though. That's neat. Beach art. I didn't even know there was such a thing. And I don't know if I've joked before, but the way my girlfriend says beach, it sounds like bitch. So, yeah, it's funny. Makes it funnier in my mind, anyways. That's bitch art is what that is. AFD leader, the conservative one. They're now posting stuff like this, like they do here. You see, they're doing it everywhere. They've learned from the best, it seems. We're putting an end to it, but this is the left. The left does not like conservative movement. The conservative movement is destroying the deep state. The deep state can't allow that. So literally, they have to promote and get their side to kill. And that is what they're trying to do. Erdogan threatens the operations against Syrian Kurds if integration with Damascus fails. Sort of a long story, but yeah, we'll see what happens. He's talking some toughness over there. And this is with the SDF forces that apparently were buddies with us, or that we created, I think back in 2016, which would have been 2015, which would be Obama. The U.S.-backed SDF was established under U.S. guidance in 2015, so this is probably deep state. Sounds like Erdogan is basically threatening a deep state faction over there. Maybe we'll help him with that while we're in the area. It'd be very interesting to see what all goes on in the next short period of time, guys. China, part of me feels bad for him, and the other part of me doesn't. They've got this brand new jet that's supposed to compete against Boeing and Airbus. It started, I think, a couple years ago. It's pretty new. It's called the C919. I'm sure they stole the technology from someone. I wish they had a picture of it. I almost want to see what it looks like if they've got a picture of it. There's the few of them that are out flying about, so they definitely should be able to find one. Let's see if I can do that. Images. Okay. Yeah, pretty much looks like a don't know. It's like an Airbus or a Boeing. It's kind of hard to tell. They stole the design. I don't know. That's hard to tell. You guys tell me. You'd have to be. I'm not. Yeah, I don't know. Back in the day, I was pretty good, but nowadays they kind of start to look the same to me. But yeah, they relied on GE for their engines, and that's creating a huge problem for them, obviously. And it seems we're a little slow to get them all their engines in time. So something's going on there, and they're a little bummed about it. But they say they don't need them that much. They're like, it's no big deal. Can't hurt me. It's all right. We don't need them that much right now. Our flying numbers are far lower than everyone else, so we're okay. Yeah, we're just thinking ahead, because we're smart like that. Pretty much. All right, some weird stuff with Russia. This is kind of a trip. So Putin blasts the French piracy after Russia-linked tanker boarded and the captain was arrested. Long story short, they pretty much said this is part of the Dark Fleet, the French, when they took this ship over in international waters that was waving a third country's flag and was actually being piloted or sailed by a non-Russian, I don't know where they were from, but they weren't of the wrong country. And then they accused these guys of launching a drone attack against Europe, the ones that was around the airport. So they've taken over the ship recently, right? And then, Russia's pissed about it. But then oddly, there was more unidentified drones that were spotted over Europe on Thursday night. Wait, but you took the ship in that had the drones. You captured it, France. Les douches. You guys captured the ship where all of the... or didn't you? Maybe there's another tanker that you need to take over. France? Dude, you guys are pirates. Arr, pirates, matey. My name's Macron and I'm a pirate. I married a man, one would say. Hungary's Orban, I guess, is from Copenhagen Summit. He says the EU has decided to go to war. And he's like, we don't want nothing to do with this. Literally, the European Union's like, we're going to war with Russia. NATO's like, we're going to war with Russia. Everyone except the United States and parts of Europe that are friends with Russia and, the rest of the world that likes Russia, like China and India and, stuff like that. And, obviously Russia and Belarus and a number of other countries. They obviously don't want to have war. But Europe and NATO, we're going to war, bitches. I don't know if it's like Trump because he's talking up we might give some cruise missiles to Ukraine. What the hell? Some Tomahawks, right? Maybe I forget what the name of the other missile that we were thinking of maybe giving them, right? But, it's not going to happen, we've come to find out, and it wouldn't make that big a difference, we're also assuming. Trump admin is going to share intelligence on Russian energy targets with Ukraine. So right now, that's like what we're like, all right, we'll give you some good targets. Here's a place you can blow up. Here's a place you can blow up. So you go ahead and you go for it. There you go. Russia, you better come to the table, damn it, because we're going to tell them all your secret places. We know where they are. So Russia, they've upgraded some missiles. They've got two different ones specifically that they've made them supposedly where the Patriots will have a harder time. They say Patriot-proof. I'm assuming Patriots will have a harder time. We'll find out how good the Patriot system is, I guess, here shortly. And that's probably part of what we wanted to do here anyway. Maybe this is so when we fight other people, we'll be prepared. But this report cites Ukrainian and U.S. officials, details that the modifications affect both the Iskander-M short-range ballistic missiles and the air-launched Kinzhal missiles. There's that big-ass bastard right there. Range of around 300 miles. These upgraded missiles now said to be capable of performing sharp maneuvers or steep dives. So if they can do crazy stuff while they're coming in, it makes them really, really, really hard to shoot down. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see how smart our Patriot systems are and how capable those missiles are of making those kinds of changes. We might have to make some modifications. U.S. believes Tomahawks aren't going to help Ukraine. Trump was talking about this, and he's like, I just don't think. He says, I don't think a limited number of Tomahawks or sporadic deep strikes into Russia will change Vladimir Putin's mind. This is what basically people are saying Trump's thinking. So, yeah, giving them some Tomahawk missiles, I don't know. What's that going to really do, right? We give them 10 of them, they're going to launch 10 of them. Now, so many of them are going to make it, and they're going to hit, what, oil facilities, energy producing facilities. I mean, we're not going to hit the Capitol, right? We're not going to attack their nuclear forces. We're not going to, I mean, so what are we really trying to do here? Why are we going to give them a 1.3 million dollar missiles just so what? Right? And so really that's the thing. I think a lot of people were thinking that anyways. It's like, why would we do that? I certainly was. And then it was like, all right, maybe we're going to give them to them. Well, it's probably just been a bunch of bullshit. It's what it's starting to seem like. Ukrainian drone hit oil refinery chemical plant 1,500 kilometers deep into Russia. I mean, if we're giving them targets, that's probably good enough. They literally shot this from Kazakhstan or something like that, and it flew 1,500 kilometers and then hit an oil refinery. I think they did have some video of it hitting. I don't know if it's very good. Well, that's awesome. There we go. It's better. So true. Oh my God. Спасибо. До свидания. Пока. Seriously, I don't know very many Russian words, obviously. Butsarova. Butsterov. She's probably got a mustache, though. Is that it? That was it? That's it? Really? That wasn't worth the wait. My God. It's like the poor girl that had to deal with me twice in that 41 seconds. Wasn't worth the wait. U.S., or Russia, I should say, strikes Ukrainian arms plants. I confused myself. Russia strikes Ukrainian arms plants and power sources. Word is they're going to strike the leg plants later this week. Just kidding. I swear, man, I paid an arm and a leg for that joke. Oh, it's getting hot in here. Anyway, sorry. Couldn't help myself. Energy giant Natogas had reported sustaining critical damage in the long-range operation, so they hit some heavy stuff. Probably blowed it up pretty good. Again, probably deep state. Just, I don't know. That Kirillov dude really got me thinking now. Really got me thinking. It's like Russia's like Trump's like, come on, guys. Seriously, how many more targets? Do you need help with targets? No, we know. Well, freaking A, man. Blow them up. Stop sucking. Damn. Supposedly Diddy Combs is set to be sentenced and faces the possibility of years in prison. He supposedly made plans for like later this week or something like that, or this weekend, and the judge found out about it, and he was apparently a little miffed. But yeah, they're trying to get 11 years, and his lawyer's trying to say 14 months time served. We'll see if we find out later. And then finally going to end with some cool little UFO-y stuff. Maybe a volcano. Where's this? Mexico's volcano. I'm not going to try to say that because I'll say it wrong. And they, I don't even know what to do with those little weird accents. But they did a time-lapse and picked up all sorts of weird stuff flying over this thing. Check it out. I like how they say, ufologist says that no manned craft could survive the temperatures of a volcano. Ufologist says, no man-made object can handle the crater's temperatures. What does a ufologist know about our man-made technologies? Please, the SR-71 takes temperatures that are pretty damn hot, and it's not like it's flying into the lava. It's flying over the damn thing. Smoke will fuck up an engine in a heartbeat. So I don't know exactly what's going on there, but the heat, I don't know if that's necessary, especially with the way the smoke's blowing. It doesn't look like it's that hot. I think these people are full of shizzle. I think it's Comet Atlas 3A1, whatever. I'm just kidding. So yeah, we'll see. We had a lot going on, and they're talking a crap ton about that comet. So again, we'll see what happens. I think it's supposed to be really close to Mars coming up in a couple weeks or something like that. I know it's perihelion today, so it's the closest to the sun today. But it's supposed to get really close to Mars in the coming days. There's rumor that maybe NASA's going to turn some of our Mars observer stuff and maybe turn it towards it and try to get some images of it. That would be cool. One of the things that sucks is like the Hubble telescope and even the other one, the one that's got the multiple hexagonal things that looks deep into space. I forget the name of that one. But both of those, I've looked at it, and it looks really blurry. It looks like a crap picture. It's because those telescopes were meant to look at stuff really, really far away, not stuff really, really close. Like if Hubble stared at the moon, it would probably break the telescope. It'd be too bright. It's too much light. Its optics couldn't handle it. Like they're designed to look far away. So, I mean, again, I'm making excuses, maybe, I guess, but that's not what those things were designed for. I know that. So, hard to say. But we're going to go through some very interesting times, and I think people are going to have very different experiences of what's happening. We are going through a transition, unquestionable. The sun right now, at least I should have checked today and I forgot, but yesterday we were up to our 4th day of solar storms, just constant solar storms. There's no reason for it. We do actually have a coronal hole facing us now, and that's going to hit us probably in a day or two, tops. And if the solar storms continue and then that hits us, this could be very interesting. We could have extremely low latitude aurora borealis this weekend. So again, we've got a whole thing going on with the magnetic field of this planet. There's concerns happening all over the place right now. Changes are happening now. Get in that heart chakra, get in that love space, and make sure you got food, water, and all that stuff, because we're getting close to something, guys. We're getting close. Not sure exactly when or where, none of us do, but something's coming. All of us can feel it. We're in it together, guys. I'll do my best to help you every step of the way. Where we go one, we go all. It's on the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle.